This is actually one of the most common questions I get. How do you write a UGC brief that results in creative that converts? So in a previous lesson, I actually showed you 10 different UGC strategies that you can use to make winning creative. And ideally, this would have given you some kind of idea of the type of UGC content you want to execute on. So that next step in the process, after you've done all your research, is to actually write out the brief. Now, I have a Word document template that you can use for your creators, and I'm going to walk you through that step by step. However, first I want to answer some frequently asked questions that's going to help you through this process. Number one, the elephant in the room: should you give a creator a full script or should you give them creative freedom? And really this boils down to how much you trust the creator. In fact, sometimes if I've worked with a creator enough times, I'll actually allow them to write their own script for me that I approve before they shoot. But a lot of that depends on your risk tolerance. So if you're on a time crunch and you want to limit the amount of variables that you're going to have for performance, I would suggest writing out a full storyboard and brief. However, I will say that a lot of times I write these out and I also make note where the creator can have a little bit of extra leeway for creative exploration. The second frequently asked question I always get is, should UGC creators edit their own ads? In my experience, they're typically not the best people to edit their ads. That is, unless they have a lot of examples of them editing performance creative, especially if it's in the style of more TikTok editing. That's where I tend to have a little more flexibility. But again, this is totally going to differentiate creator to creator. Typically, I ask for raw content and I have video editors actually put those ads together in post. So let's go ahead and take a look at this UGC brief. Okay, I'm going to breeze through the first page really. This is where you're going to put in the name of the client, product, deadline, shipping details. And then I also really like giving a client overview so that creators can really easily check out the website, Lander, Instagram, TikTok to get a sense of what type of content your brand normally makes. And then I'm going to have the creative package specifications. Now, typically, actually, I don't do edited videos, so this is one that's quite a bit older. So I would actually just detail here raw content, about 20 plus clips, including a testimonial. But really, whatever type of content you want the creator to make, that's really where you're going to have it there and be really specific about it. And then this content brief, I also really like to detail, hey, this is for ads, this is not for organic posting. And then the shooting specifications are also really important. Like, hey, you're gonna have to shoot in good lighting, only use sounds from this library. If they're going to use sounds, I normally don't have my creators use sounds. Don't shoot directly in TikTok or in Reels. Film all content vertically, add an extra 1 to 3 seconds to the beginning and end of all raw clips. Now, all of that is pretty much going to be the same for every single brief. But really, the meat of this is the storyboard shot list. So I want to zoom in on that. So what I like to detail is I like to detail the shot and then have an example visual and then have some notes for them. So I really try to make sure that I am letting them know like what kind of framing I want with the testimonial. So I make sure that's really clear and I give them an example that's going to link out to an example of an ad that I want them to replicate or I want them to take inspiration of. Now, here I say script sample is in the next section. Please adapt to your own unique voice. So right here, you can actually see, oh, here's a sample. And sometimes we've even done this Mad Lib style. If we were executing on a specific type of script format, like a problem solution, we can offer them multiple problems that they might want to look at. We can offer them multiple angles or product introductions or problem agitators. But I just have a script here that I did for an ad for Obvi. Now, I didn't actually add in any additional visuals, but a lot of times if there's definitely something that I want from a creator, I'll make sure to add an example of all of them. So typically when I am making UGC content for my creators, I am creating what is known as modular content. So I want to have them do one testimonial and then a series of B-roll clips that we can then overlay on top of all of that testimonial content. I also really like them to shoot a few different testimonial hooks, and you can actually see here, oh, how many hooks are going to be required. And then I often like to detail the exact hooks that I want them to create, because I often find that putting a lot more thought and process into the hook is ultimately going to help conversion rates a lot more than thinking about the CTA or everything that happens afterward. Now, for most brands, I'm also going to have an unboxing if it's product based, but then I'm also going to have a series of product product shots, of product usage. Now, I do find this tends to be a 3-ish page document, but it's really clear the type of content that we want from the creator, and it's easy for them to jump in, make that content, and also add a little bit of creative flair because we're not putting the entire creative strategy on them. But again, sometimes we do that with creators, especially if there's someone that's worked with us over a long period of time and they've also shown us that they can handle that type of execution and output. But yeah, I've provided this for you so you can go ahead, take a look, and adapt it to your own workflow.